Yeah, we're all live. We're all live. We have Bing Q&A as first Bing Q&A with us, and let's go. We have Purna Virji with us. Well, it's everybody so keen to make my work easy here. So Purna Virji, senior PPC training senior manager, and in Bing in Microsoft's Bing. Purna Virji with us. Purna is
Hello.
Bing. Is Bing today. Okay, and the rest of them I'll do what, okay, can't pronounce his name today. Yeah, I can't say who is telling me what to do. Yeah, okay, because we have Bing here, we don't have any Google here today. Ammon Johns, very easy. Ammon Johns, Internet Marketing Consulting, ammonjohns.com. Okay, Ammon Johns is always here, so some people we don't need to introduce. We have Bill Slawski today with us. Tonight depends on where you are. Bill always with us. So Bill and Ammon were this from the 7 samurais. Were not 7, but 3 samurais at the beginning. So we have Eric Enge with us. Brilliant, and it says Eric Enge. And we have Jennifer Slegg with us. So guys, we do have first hour Bing Q&A. We all know Bing is big in the United States. What Purna is? I read it's about 22% of the market.
Yeah, so just Bing alone is about 21% of the market. But if you add in our search partners such as AOL and Yahoo, we're closer to 33, 34%.
Wow.
1 in 3 searches done on a PC is done on Bing.
Okay, guys. Let's go on with it. I suggest that Jennifer will start. Jennifer, do you mind?
Sure, I can start. Probably the big question a lot of people have is how has Windows 10 impacted voice search? Do people actually use Windows 10 to search on the voice? I know I've seen demos of people showing off how they can search on their desktop, but do people actually do that?
They do. So Windows 10 has been really great for us and for Cortana because of how well integrated she is in with the program. You can use Cortana on the, if you have Windows 10, you have a talk bar, and at the bottom there's a search box. So you can search via voice or via text in there. Currently there are over 300 million devices that run Windows 10 across the world. 20% plus of all of Bing's clicks actually come from Windows 10 devices. So anyway, back to voice. I saw this stat in Mary Meeker's internet predictions where she said that she heard from sources at Microsoft that 25% of all searches done in that navigation box are done on voice. So it's small and steady and growing, not overall on Bing, just in that box itself.
That's actually pretty impressive. I didn't realize it would be that high. You don't usually think about that many people searching on voice on their desktop. It's something I don't personally do. But the flip side, on my phone, I'm constantly using voice search.
It's certainly larger on the phone because we're used to it. Like, Siri's been a part of our lives for a while. It's just easier on the phone. You tend to be more distracted or unable to type as much when you are either walking, cycling, driving with your phone with you. You can use voice easily. And you tend to always have your phone. When I looked at back in November, when we had our data scientists pull some numbers, we looked at just overall Cortana queries, and 33% of them at that time were voice. I don't know if that number has been updated since then or not.
Yeah, it's interesting. Might be worthwhile for listeners, Purna, if you wouldn't mind walking through people what Cortana does, just to give them some reference point. I know all of us here in the panel know that, and how it fits into the overall ecosystem.
Sure. So to give you a little bit background of what Cortana does, Cortana is Microsoft's digital personal assistant, similar to Siri, that is owned by Apple, and all the search on Siri is powered by Bing, or Google has their OK Google or Google Now. And Amazon has their Alexa on the Echo. So these are all digital personal assistants that users can use every day. Oh, is that your Echo?
Yes, it is.
Yes, great. I have one too. The Echo as well, all the search functionality is powered by Bing. So it's quite interesting. It's, in a way, we think it will help people. Satya Nadella came on board at our Build conference recently and said that how he's predicting natural language and conversational interfaces to be this huge future focus for the entire, I think, digital community, not just search.
Okay, Purna, I have a question for you. So we have Google with the hot words, "Okay Google," to start a search. And to start a search on Siri, we say the word Siri. How do we get started with the search on Bing?
So on Bing, you still have to press the button to interact with Cortana. I don't know if there's any plans to change it and make it a verbal cue. But as of right now, you would have to press the button or go into the app. And once you open Cortana's app, you can talk to it.
Indeed. And so when I think about voice search stuff, one of the things that's always in my mind is how does user behavior change when they're doing it by voice? So I know Google quite famously shared the stat that voice query is 30 times more likely to be action-oriented. But do you have any data points to add along those lines based on the data you guys have at Bing and Cortana?
Sure. So overall on Cortana, what we're seeing is that there tend to be more question phrases and longer queries. That's about a given. And we were able to identify the questions or the commands that were asked into like 3 or 4 types of tokens. One is question, can you tell me how to, or how do I do this? Or the other one is more of a command, it's like, show me my control panel, or get me home, give me directions home. So it's more commands. Overall, at the research that we have been able to look at, just overall in the industry, we do find that there tends to be a heavier skewing towards local. So it's more like, find me this phone number, or I'm on the road, whereas I need coffee, where's my nearest Home Depot, things like that. There's a much heavier local skewing.
And is that in selection bias, or is it, in other words, whenever somebody has a query like that, they're more likely to do that by voice, or is it that the user behavior is actually changing?
It's a bit of both. I think it's a very natural progression. If we think about when we're using voice, Google had released a study back in 2014, and they said people were using it while watching TV, while cooking. Beshad Bezadi himself said that driving was a place where people use it the most. What we've seen it is 3 cases. One where you can't type or it's a problem. Either I'm driving, cycling, cooking. If I'm otherwise occupied, I might be second screening while watching Scandal and I want to sort of be like, oh, that kitchen looked really great. How do I get some ideas for my own kitchen? Or if you are just sort of busy and user experience is a bit tough. So because of when we tend to use it and we're slowly evolving, our queries tend to be more basic, but then we're getting trained to use it better. For example, Alexa on the Echo, you can't do anything else on the Echo apart from talk to it, right? So now we're getting more comfortable using our voice. When we all had Bluetooth, remember 10 years ago, we felt like, oh, what a jerk. I had to use the Bluetooth. We felt silly. We're not so feeling silly anymore with voice interfaces. And if we're getting comfortable with it, our uses are getting different. My son, who's 9, very, very comfortable using voice. He will have the most conversations with Siri or Alexa. And he'll ask it to show him stuff, or show me a Batman cartoon, so I want to see pictures of Black Batman, and things like that. He's really comfortable. Whereas we are still being trained ourselves. We're used to machine language or 2 to 3 word queries that get us to that answer. But we will change, it will evolve. Sorry, that was a really long answer, but it was really the mix of both.
When Google showed us Hummingbird, one of the points they made in demonstration of it was it responded to pronouns in questions, referring to things from earlier questions. How well does Bing handle that?
I think Cortana is getting really, really smart, and that's something that is like the vision for all types of conversational interfaces. Based on an example that Satya had given, it was, hey, I want to book something in this hotel. But like, great, shall we call the hotel and book the conference room as well for you? And it will understand what you're trying to do and help you make your life simpler. So it would talk to another booking. If I want to look for a really good pizzeria and I'm traveling around London, and it'll be like, hey, Purna, maybe this is a good restaurant you might like, and shall I book you a table? And I don't even have to go to Open Table or a similar app. They will be able to talk to each other and do it. So it is meant to get smarter and smarter.
The whole thing of voice search very quickly gets into digital assistants because the line is really kind of blurring. I think generally this is an issue for the future of search. We've seen more and more answer boxes that it's less about just giving us links to sites, it's about providing information or empowering us to do things. Do you think that there is going to be a further development in this way? Is there an element where we lose the search engine as a destination, and the idea is to instead have kind of, this information be on tap wherever we go?
I think so, and I love the way that you're thinking. I think it will fall into 2 or 3 places. If I'm a search engine, if I want to think about what I'm going to have to compete for attention and space, on the mobile device there will be apps, because the apps are getting more sophisticated, they're getting easier to use. So if I want to look for shoes, I might just go to Zappos directly, and I will skip Google or Bing or Yahoo. So as search engines, we're going to want to fight for that attention and make it easier and simpler as more volume shifts to mobile devices. So I think there are ways that we search engines will just have to look at getting more sophisticated. Is it maybe more visual results? Is it better interfaces? So that's one step there. The other step is, what if it's an interface which has no visual at all, say Alexa. We've seen what Echo and Kayak have done with their partnership, right? Where Kayak can be like, I want to book a flight. They'll be like, oh, where are you going? I want to go to Seattle. It's like, oh, what time and when and what price? So it is an actual conversation. There's no point of sale yet, but I wonder if that will come. So that will be interesting. It'll be 2 streams, one when there's a visual, one where there isn't.
The follow-up question to that, and of course this dramatically ties into the interface, is of course this changes the traditional way that search engines have learned to monetize in recent years. There's no possibility of putting 3 little things clearly marked as ads at the top of a sentence. So how has the thinking so far been considering how to monetize voice search, and most importantly, voice answers to search?
Yeah, that's such a good question. It's something I think everybody is thinking about, it, all the big companies are thinking about. Now, on this, just based on my own personal research, not anything that I know of, because certainly I'm not high enough pay grade to get that feature of search from the E-team at Microsoft, but if I had to put my thinking hat on, based on stuff that even Jen reported on the SEM post, shopping, I think shopping's a big one. It's visual, it's easy. You can get pretty specific with the results to match how specific the voice queries will be. So if I'm second feeling or in a hurry, if I'm looking for, oh, I really like the shoes that Kerry Washington was wearing in Scandal, show me pictures of blue shoes, I want to look for that, and then shopping campaigns can match it quickly, easy to click. So that could be one thing, or local. Given how much local is voice search, I think according to Search Engine Watch, an article was 3 times more likely you have local intent. Voice search on mobile does. So I think shopping and local will be the place where people will look at monetizing them first. If I was to guess, again, just my own personal guesses.
Well, we're going to have to see whether or not you can come up with TV show examples other than Scandal before we're done.
I know, because I'm obsessed with that show, and it's not coming back till next year. It's tragic.
Well, we're learning about you in the process, so that's a good thing. So, I mean, just to expand on Ammon's question, it seems that you know, personal digital assistants, it really could lead to what others have called, and I've also written about, this notion of the death of the search bar. You just won't do it that way. You use a voice command. Okay, yeah, there are exceptions. If I'm standing in a crowd, I'm probably not going to use a voice command to ask questions about my hemorrhoid medication. So I'll probably pass on that one for a long time. But it gets pretty routine to do lots of stuff, as you pointed out. Do we really see that, you know, the great majority of activity will be driven by the personal assistant, and the search box will become sort of the oddity?
It will, and I think that's where we are trying to tie search in so heavily to these kind of different interfaces, right? Because search is going to change, and we can't always expect people to go to their computers, open up a browser, type the search engine they want, and then type their query. It seems like too much work in our new digital age. Like, how lazy are we becoming? But we're looking for simplicity, for things that can make our life easier. Another example, like, we rebelled against giving too much personal information, but slowly we're getting more comfortable. Like, I'm okay telling Siri or Cortana or whichever app that, hey, this is my home address, this is my office address. So it will tell me, Purna, you need to leave work now because things are getting busier. The traffic's building up, leave now. We are okay with it knowing things about our life. Like, I will grocery shop on a Saturday. I prefer whichever chain of grocery stores I prefer. So it will know that I will want to go there. And yes, that's, I think, where we're going to go.
Yeah, I'll give up our privacy in return for convenience.
Do you think there's any chance in Bing Webmaster Tools that we'll get voice data, like voice query data? I know it's something Google has talked about possibly giving it, but has talked about a lot of the limitations, like the length of the queries. They tend to be so random and lengthy that hardly anyone searches for that exact same query. Do you think Bing might offer us something like that so webmasters can get a sense of the type of queries that are actually driving voice specifically?
I don't know as a fact that it would happen. I would just imagine that eventually, once things are getting to the point where they will be monetized, I think that would be interesting to certainly have that there. At the moment, you can guess, okay, Google, or you can guess a voice search query right now in your PPC search query reports, for example. If you see the okay, Google, that's voice for sure. If you are seeing something super long, you can guess it is. But yeah, as of right now, I haven't heard of any plans on Bing's end about putting voice search reporting out there as a separate thing. I imagine that if or whenever we ever reach the point of monetization, that will be closer to happening.
From an SEO perspective, do you think you're going to see more SEO for voice? Like, I know even myself, I've been thinking more about how to specifically optimize pages for voice queries specifically, especially with the length of the queries. And like you said, like, you can look at some of your query data in Webmaster Tools or Bing right now and see searches, and you're probably like, oh, that's probably a voice search. Do you think we're going to see the need for optimization pages specifically for voice queries?
In a way, it's a yes and a no answer. Like, I think, is there going to be a need? Maybe, but ultimately what voice is doing is just playing up the importance of the best practices that folks like Bill, Ammon, and Eric have been talking about for so long in all their writings and publications and fantastic stuff. It's all about the intent. It's all about what people want, and it's just not optimizing for certain keywords for a search engine, but all about ultimate intent and queries. So in a way, this is giving us more insights into intent. I would hate for there to be this, as SEO, sometimes we can take a really good thing and then destroy it. So I hope that doesn't happen, where suddenly they'll be like, we're adding about 200 new pages to account for each question that could come up. I think that would be probably not the best move at all. And certainly, Bill, Eric, Ammon, that in question answers that. Ultimately, if it's about the intent, we can serve the right page as long as we have a page for every intent. More important so on the PPC side with ads, that your ads can be more specific and you're not sending people right back to a very high-level page. I did the example where I said, I want to look for Bahamas vacations for the summer. Only 1 or 2 ads in the list actually talked about Bahamas and summer. So that's something maybe we would look at. So SEO, I think if we can optimize our page to, as long as Google understands it, we're fine. Add in your schema, the best practices that you would do anyway, all the sort of microdata that you can, especially for location. That would be good.
I'd also say to think ahead for those voice-only interactions where somebody wants a read-out answer. So make sure your language is clear, it can be easily read. Think about how it will sound through a screen reader at the very least, but also think about using audio formats at times, because as we go forward, I think one of the big things we're going to see in devices, not in the very short term, but in the long term, is the idea of the screen disappearing.
Yeah.
We know about augmented reality and virtual reality. There will be times when a device will have something to show us, but there'll be other times when the device can talk to us and give us the answer. Because when you're driving, you don't necessarily want a sudden great big overlay distracting you, just that voice in your ear telling you the answer to the question you asked. So think about that as a strategic decision now as to how you're going to utilize voice to deliver your information, not just to get the customer to you.
Yeah, that's something true. Like when you do a voice search right now on Google, if there's a featured snippet or a smart answer or anything like that, Google actually will read it back to you, which is really awesome. So I can be driving, I need to know something, I can do a voice search, never have to look at the screen, and Google just spits out and reads the answer to me. Does Cortana do anything similar where if you do a search query, it will read out any of the answers to you?
I know it does some, but I don't know if it does it as much as Google does at the moment.
Yeah,
I think it's an awesome feature.
Yeah, it's really nice when it does that, because if you pop up a screen, it interferes with the texting I'm trying to do while I'm driving. So I'm just kidding about that part. So it seems to me, though, back to the optimization thing, it's like what search engines are doing when dealing with voice search is they're getting really better at understanding natural language and semantics much better. And part of that is somebody asked a question, and there's often multiple potential intents. And trying to figure out which one of those does a user really mean. And it seems to me that as publishers, we have to be good at understanding those things better and better too, right? And sort of following the lead of the search engines. So the user gives some 14-word query, and basically at the end of the day, you have to figure out what it really means. And we have somebody come to a particular page on our site, or else it's like, okay, they've arrived at my, I don't know, Adidas sneakers page. What are the things that they really want? And there are many, many different things that could be. I mean, yeah, they probably want Adidas sneakers if they're thinking about it. They might want reviews. They might want comparison, shopping pricing. They might want to break that down in different categories. They might want to know what the competing products are and look at them. So I know that's a fair part away from this being voice specific, but I think that's part of the challenge of public space going forward.
I agree. Though the one thing that sometimes the queries will be obscure, but for the most part, when I've been talking to different advertisers of Bing ads, and I've asked them about the SQRs and what the search query reports and what they're seeing in terms for voice, a lot of it is timed as quite a specific query. Like it's natural language. It's how we're talking to each other. It's more like, I want to do this, so I want to see this, or show me, blue strappy sandals for the summer with only 1-inch heels for size 8. Like that, it's pretty specific and natural, so you can really tell what people want. To me, that's my favorite thing about search, about voice, is that it is going to tell us the intent that we always have been wanting. So anyway, you guys probably think I'm such a dog with all my shoes and my scandal, but yes.
Like I said, we're learning all about you.
No.
Indeed.
One thing that has come out in some of our discussions with Google is how much language is still something of a barrier. That a lot of the research is led in the West and in the English-speaking world, and certainly I hear from SEOs in other cultures that marketing generally, search generally seems to lag behind a little bit more. I've certainly heard this in regard to Hebrew, some of the Arabic tongues generally, and when you get down to some of the real dialects, it really does get tough. Does voice search actually make this easier or harder with the issue of both dialects and then accents? You know, is this actually an even harder thing to be working on?
So this is interesting because David Ivanhoe and I were just talking about this last week, and he was just saying that how Google has finally come out to say that, hey, we speak Australian now because it's such a different accent. I think predominantly there's such a US English focus because that's where it's developing. It will take a little bit more time to go into the different dialects. There will also be some complications with how we pronounce things. Like 3 years ago, like I've lived in India, in England, in Wales, and in America, so my accent is a mix of all of them. Siri couldn't understand me 3 years ago at all. So I didn't ever use it because it was more frustrating. But now she's getting better at it, as is, like Cortana is really great at getting me. So we will see that with the different accents to bring it in and the use of words. But also the different languages bring their own set of problems. I was in an Ammon search last week, and one of the audience members was Italian, and I was talking about like BMW. He said they call it BMW in Italy, or David was saying in the Netherlands they call it BMV. If I'm doing a search for a BMV showroom, are we going to be able to understand they're looking for BMW, or do we have to do anything about that? So that would be interesting just to think about.
How many languages currently is Cortana? Do you know?
I'm not sure of the exact number at the moment.
I wanted to ask a question. Kind of general knowledge that modern search engine is like a children 4, 5, 6 years old. They understand language as much. Did you ever try how Cortana understand children questions?
Really well. Like my son will talk to it all the time. I don't know. Have you seen any different experiences?
Yeah,
not Cortana specifically.
Yeah, I don't know if it differentiates by age or anything. They all seem really smart to get it and talk to whoever. Except like Siri still thinks when my son's talking to it, it still thinks it's me. So if my son will be telling me a joke, or it will be like, Siri, you're stupid, then Siri will be like, that's not very nice, Purna. I'm like, wait, I didn't say anything.
You'd think that all these voice searches would want to understand kids really well, because essentially this is the next generation. I mean, these are the guys that are constantly using voice search. They rarely sit and type anything because it's so much quicker and faster in their on-the-go lifestyle when they want to post their next Snapchat or whatever to do voice.
Exactly. And that's the Tom Anthony from Distilled makes a really good point too, is that kids, for them, it's so natural to talk to it and use it. So he had given this example of queries that his actual daughter had shown, and Ammon, I'm sorry, it's a shoe example again too. He said, like, show me sparkly shoes. Show me pink sparkly shoes for girls. Show me pink sparkly shoes for girls age 8 or whatever the age was. And that's just the natural progression of like self-selection in the queries as well, which is so fascinating to see us being able to do that in voice much easier than typing.
Right.
Speaking of jokes, does Cortana make any funny jokes like Siri does if you say something funny to it?
Yes, you should ask her who's your daddy, and then she will say that technically speaking, both good. And she can also tell you jokes if you ask her. She's got some pretty good knock-knock jokes.
Excellent. So how about the platforms? I mean, so it's one thing to have support on this kind of device, but how many different platforms, like, are you embedded yet in Xboxes and things like that?
Yeah, I think Xbox certainly is a great example of one where you can use voice interfaces to go and search. It will be all about helping target people at the right time at the right place. For example, one of the first advertiser on the Xbox was Domino's Pizza. I mean, think about the right product for the right person at the right time. So you could have ads and suggestions, and then eventually you can just say, like, hey, order me my usual pizza from Domino's, and eventually I'm sure they're going to reach the point where they can just send it along, have the credit card information already done, and it'll get there. So all these different platforms of life, the reason why I think all the search engines want that data is it gives you more insights into people's lives. I know that when people tend to play an Xbox, this is what they tend to look for. I know when they are driving, this is what they tend to look. I live when they're cooking, or whatever we're doing, it's so enmeshed in our life. We have so much more data about the actual searchers and just big data, not like creepy Big Brother type data, but just overall big data that we can use to make our targeting and new features and products more relevant. So that is, in a way, quite exciting, and we're giving up some more information, but for a good cause.
I imagine that at the moment, the biggest aspect with Cortana is going to be platform, that it's not going to be many users of iPhones and Android devices that are using Cortana at the moment. It's the ones where it's built in. Is there a strategy for kind of breaking beyond that, or is the feeling that this is your strength, your platform, and that's your way in, and let the others work out how to get the other ways in? Or is this that the end goal is for the search assistant to become almost like an API that can tie into every other app?
Mm-hmm. I think it's the latter from what you said, just based on stuff that I've read from what Satya Nadella has been talking about, and he's actually put out this whole call for developers to develop on like the conversational interfaces. So we will be able to talk to different things. We already have, think about like on smart thermostats, Nest, for example, or smart speakers. Like, what else is going to be smart that we talk to each other? Like, I can ask my fridge that, hey, do I need more milk? And the fridge will be like, oh yeah, I've already put the calendar alert in your phone. So next time you go near this, I'm sure at some point there will be a way to tie it in with beacons and with sort of augmented reality, virtual reality, just different ways that I can talk to things and have it show me. It seems to be where it's going to go as we get people more comfortable using voice, as the kinks are ironed out. I mean, there's still points where it doesn't understand you, there's some frustration. As they work on figuring that out and ironing it all out, and I'm speaking just across the board, every of the personal assistants, then we'll see more and more added in to make life a bit easier. I mean, a good parallel example analogy would be like Apple, right? They started with the phone, then was iTunes, then you can watch TVs. Now it's so much easier to buy all my music, all my movies just via Apple because it goes on every interface. My Apple TV is there. You live within this ecosystem now. So I think that's what voice will start to be like. I mean, that's just my personal guess.
Right. Something about that. We'll have, because I mean, I know some of these so-called millennials, who all hate being called millennials, but that's beside the point, you know, that don't really even adopt social media. And then you have other people who can't put the phone down, which isn't necessarily millennials, but it certainly includes my wife who can't put the phone down. But in any case, that's the interesting thing about this to me. You're going to have some people who are willing to sort of give up all kinds of information for convenience, and then you're going to have others who want nothing to do with it. It seems like the market, as we get more and more choices available, the market gets even more fragmented. I don't know if I really have a question here, other than if you have any thoughts on just how we'll deal with all that. Because, boy, there's going to be a lot of different ways that people want to approach this stuff.
I think, I mean, again, if I was to speculate personally, I think the conversational interfaces will bring everything together. If you saw the Google Home commercial, it was really smart. It was all like, hey, it's similar to the Alexa, the Echo, and it's in the home, and people can talk to it. So the example in the commercial was, oh, my flight's being delayed. So the woman's like, oh, change my table reservation by half an hour. And so it's going to bring together multiple things in one. There's going to be, I think, really fierce competition between like Amazon and Google and Facebook and Microsoft and all the big companies and Apple to get a lot of the users within their ecosystem, because the voice and the Internet of Things coming together can keep people within an ecosystem. That's just my thoughts. Like, I don't know, I'd be so curious. I mean, you guys are the most brilliant minds around. Like, what do you guys think?
It makes my head hurt. Nothing. No, I mean, there's so many different scenarios. This is where people make great fortunes. People who solve questions like this, right? And it's like, you know, so are people going to be able to get things done without a personal system? Are they going to be forced into using it because that's all the majority of people want to do? And what will happen with all that? You know, I don't know. It's, I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun to see it unfold. Capabilities are so cool, you know, and being able to do something like talking to your phone and have it check your schedule together with a couple of coworkers' schedules, and then ask for details about a restaurant and get directions, and then have it automatically connect to Open Table and book the restaurant for you, and have, you know, applications that can do all that stuff. It's amazingly powerful, I'm sure.
I think one of the things for me that's been very interesting is it's a dichotomy amongst users, but on the one hand we kind of, you know, we're very scared of the amount of data that some companies are getting on us. But then again, that's mixed with the fact that, you know, PayPal is popular because you give one person your, you know, bank details and stuff like that, and then everybody else just deals with PayPal, and you feel protected. There's a layer between you and any potential misuse of your credit card, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So do you think, because I certainly think it will be interesting if you can tie things like the wallet services in with voice search, with those, you know, search assistants, so that we've kind of got a personal secretary looking after our security as well, that it can protect some of our data.
That makes sense, and actually Amazon Echo is a perfect sort of prototype of it, because I can tell, hey, add this to my shopping list, or just order me some new laundry detergent, and it will happen. So people are getting more comfortable interacting with it.
I'm intrigued a little bit by how HoloLens integrates with Skype, and I've been wondering if you have a group search activity with HoloLens and people on Skype, how that might enable people to brainstorm together and to perform activities that might be group activities that they wouldn't otherwise be able to have the chance to do.
Oh my gosh, I know, I'm obsessed with HoloLens. I just cannot wait to get my hands on one of them. So for those who are not sure, which I'm sure all you guys know, that HoloLens is our new sort of hologram glasses. So it's like augmented reality, and it will show you holograms all around you. Certainly it's fantastic for gaming. At one of our internal Microsoft conferences, they had somebody on the screen like playing one of the games, and he, within the game, could see himself with suits of armor, with a sword, walking around vanquishing dragons and so on. I mean, really cool. What I did was, we had a couple of events at Microsoft with some of our advertisers. So I just showed them HoloLens, like a quick demo, just on video. And I asked them, that, what do you think could be good uses in the future just for advertisers? And certainly this was just, let's put on our, future hats and look at our crystal balls and guess. Some of the things that people said was, if I was a furniture retailer, I could show what this sofa is going to look like in my living room. I could have instructions for putting together furniture. If anybody's ever tried to put together some furniture and it's been troublesome, then instructions like that. Or if I was a car showroom, I could have these different models of the car. You could just, open up and look at the engine and all the different parts. Yeah. And there are so many different uses that could happen. Even for like videos, like if I was walking around, I could interact with something and like, hey, press this button, and it would just play a video. So many cool uses, and this product isn't even like widely available to everyone in the market. I'm really excited about that.
It certainly does open up some very interesting areas of remarketing. You know that I was recently looking at a holiday in Cancun. And the next time I'm out and it's raining and it's cold, it lets me know the temperature in Cancun right now is. Would you like to look again?
Oh, it's a nice way to rub it in. It's like, yeah, you'd rather be in Cancun at the moment. Yeah.
But that is something where I can see advertisers immediately going, oh yes, please sign me up, take my money. That ability to reach out contextually to people in connection with what they've been doing and with whatever happens now. And I think that kind of thing becomes programmatically possible when we start adding in things like HoloLens.
Exactly, like that would be interesting. The key is like, how will it scale? It certainly can in the future, but that would take, in my mind, a little bit more time to scale. But it would be huge uses in the future. Voice probably will go on faster, but yeah, getting them all together, like Bill said, like let's have a meeting and hey, let's call it. The next time we could do this web promo hangouts, we're all holograms next sitting around a table. That would be wonderful.
Purna, why did you start doing this whole voice search? Is there any story behind it?
Oh yeah, it's my terrible tragic story. I was in India in January, at the end of January, for my cousin's wedding. I was crossing the street, as one does in India, to get to the other side, and I was run over by a speeding motorcyclist who lost control of his motorcycle. So I went flying in the air, crashed down, and I ended up breaking both my arms. So for a good 3 to 4 weeks, I could do nothing. I couldn't hold a remote control. I couldn't hold a book. I couldn't even just move a strand of hair. It was just impossible. I had to have surgery on this one, and this one was just shattered. And I realized that there's only so many times my husband's willing to get up and change the channel for me, or while catering to all my other demands. The Siri and Alexa became best friends. They were all I could do to entertain myself. I love reading, and I couldn't read. I couldn't watch Scandal. It was terrible. I couldn't do anything. And so that's how I got really geekily, like, passionately involved into voice search, because it was all I used, and I realized that we are interacting with it differently. There are differences. So then I went and I stalked our poor little data scientist team. We did, my son had control of the Xbox the whole time. We do have the Kinect and the Xbox, but I was, it was in the basement, and I was not working in the basement. I was very cranky and in a lot of pain, and just lay on the couch for a long time.
Yeah. I think one of the things that's going to be interesting is the side effects, the positive things that will come out of this that aren't to do with the business of search, but the idea that once we've got devices that are listening all the time and there to help us, that the deaf can have subtitles appearing through their HoloLens device for everything going on around them, that life can suddenly be described to them richly. They can have subtitles to everything going on in life happening in real time. I think that is going to be life-changing for a lot of people.
Oh my God, that is such a brilliant use, and oh my gosh, Ammon, that ties into so much of Microsoft is so passionate about inclusivity and reach, and that is just brilliant. Yes, you can walk around and have everything accessible to you. Would be phenomenal. I love that use. I really hope that becomes something that from your mouth to big technology companies' ears, and we go from there.
Is there anything that Bing has on the roadmap in the future to do or to change with voice search? Are they adding any new types of devices or doing anything that us marketers will think is pretty cool?
I think at the moment, what I know is our data scientist team is like looking at all the tokens at voice and just identifying how people's behavior is changing. And the only other thing that I really knew about is that Satya Nadella in his call out was like, let's look for more ways that we can develop conversational platforms. So these are the two sort of things that I know that are going on and are public, but there's nothing else that I really know about at the moment. But I know that everyone at Bing is tremendously excited about just the future of search, and something that we know our mission at Bing is that how we're going to help grow our market share is by taking search to the people. Sometimes one of my sales managers will say that, oh, the browser war is really difficult. So rather than keep fighting like a very difficult, tough fight, what if we go in and look at different ways that we can still engage our audience? And I think that's a smart way that we're looking at. We will bring search to you wherever you want to look at it. It's why we have all these partnerships, right? Bing is a search behind Siri and Spotlight. It's on Amazon Echo devices. It's these things that you don't even realize that you're using Bing to search, but you are.
Yeah.
What about military? Surely military should be very interested in certain type of voice search and everything. Do you know anything about that?
About what? Sorry.
Military, Pentagon. There surely should be, or Secret Services, all this kind of. It should be interested in such kind of devices and searches and technology.
I'm sure they would be, but then you read silly articles that I saw that I think it was one of the departments of Homeland Security or whatever, or Customs, I think, is looking to get everyone's social media handles. Like, why would you want that? No one's going to give it to you. So I don't know. I have no idea. Certainly what the military has planned or anything like that there. But I can imagine it would be beneficial for them.
I must admit that one of the things that's really interesting to me is as this goes on, I can imagine things like apps that take human voice and research that's been done in all kinds of zoological studies where they're starting to decode what animal sounds mean. And we could end up with apps that allow us to talk to our pets. We say something and it plays the noise that's been recorded that it knows means this to the animal. And I think that's going to be very interesting as well. I spoke earlier about reading for the deaf. Well, how about translating what your pet's saying to you?
Oh, wonderful. I would love that. And I'm sure all my cat is telling me is give me food or let me sleep and let me out. So 3 things. Something else, Ammon, actually to tie in there is, what about tone of voice? Is that a signal that people can use in advertising or to serve different results? Is that something that they could do? Like, who knows?
I think there's tons of extra data in the voice. One of the things I've always been interested in is psychology, and of course that meant that I got very interested in hypnosis, and so much of hypnosis is to do with the tone of voice.
Yeah.
And the pacing as well, and all of these things have so much meaning that we don't even notice. But it's all there for voice search to use. So we've got so much extra cues in the data than just the words alone. And I think that's going to be very interesting. I think you're going to be able to tell a lot more about intention when somebody speaks the same words than when they type them.
Exactly. And are people in a big hurry? Is that something that, if I'm saying, I'm so hungry, then is it something like, here's pizza that's delivered to your house? It's like, I'm hungry. Maybe here's some good restaurants you may want to go to. Like, I wonder if it could change that much based on how you're phrasing something. Very interesting. Anton, to your question, it's whatever you can see right now. I don't have any data stats to show how Cortana is at identifying different people.
So you don't know if they can identify people. For example, Cortana knows it's me.
If you told her, I believe so. I don't know. I haven't actually. That's a good question. I can go back and ask and see if I can find any answers there. There's so many open questions, right? Something that I'm trying to figure out, and these are just questions. I don't know the answer. If I do a search sometimes on my phone for, hey, what's my local ice cream parlor for my son, I'll get one answer. Or if I ask for, what's my local coffee shop, and I'll get 4. So what determines whether there should be 1 or whether there should be 4? And is it the same criteria as SEO for people? Or is it based on my mobile information? I don't know. It's so fascinating to try to see if I can dig into that.
Because we've all seen this movies when this, I don't know, the police or some agency just can put on the screen, scan your voice and identify you with your voice. Is it all the science fiction so far?
I mean, as far as I know, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, when I think about achieving the intent in someone's voice, and I mean, I commented on that earlier in the comment stream chat here, just amongst some of the panel, but it seems to me that is another element of processing. You have to be very personalized, because the way I might express something. For me, like when I'm getting tense or upset, it might not show in my voice as soon as it might in someone else's voice. So that seems like a whole nother processing challenge. Now it's going beyond just processing high levels of here's what these words mean and this collection of words in this order means, but for this particular person, this intonation means this, and that seems like a pretty hefty challenge to get to that level.
I think so. Like, Netflix is really good about letting people personalize it. You still have to interact with it with your hands, but it's going to show me, it's going to show my husband, it's going to show my son completely different recommendations. So I wonder if, as we talk to whatever voice assistant, if we'll say that, hey, show me some recommendations for a good book, and then it will maybe show me a different book than with my husband or my son. So that is interesting to recognize people.
Right.
I think one of the things SEOs often mention is they seem obsessed with audience size. Oh, well, Bing's only a fraction of Google. I know we addressed this partly at the start, but one of the things that struck me is that Microsoft is in a fantastic position as we move towards voice search, because you have got that data from Connect, you have got that tie-in with the gaming platforms, you've got years and years of experience of having voices built into the operating systems. So, is this something that Microsoft themselves are aware of? That this is actually, wow, we're right back in the game here. We're not trailing behind in data here. Here we're actually ahead of Google. Google don't have gamer data. They don't have the research Microsoft has done into using gesture and reading body position.
I think so. I think at Microsoft, you're right. We offer something that not many large technology companies can offer, right? We have sort of access points into billions of households across the world. Are different products that Microsoft has to offer. So in a way, I think a voice would be really in a good position. And I think it's the right time to be in Microsoft. That's pretty evident in things like Build and the announcements that we're making. Like even like we talked about Power BI, our reporting tool. We talked about using voice even before Google came up with something in their announcement for analytics, voice-driven stuff. So we'd announced that before. So I couldn't be more proud to work at Microsoft. I think we're like the little engine that we're, not really the whole of Microsoft, but Bing is. All of Microsoft is like really big successful. But we are trying to innovate and grow and change the entire digital landscape a bit. So I'm thrilled to be a part of witnessing this change.
Do you have any data on, I know I've seen you talk about this at various search conferences about voice search, but do you have data on specifically what the average query length is that people use for voice search? Like, is it 8 keywords? Is it 5 keywords? Is it 20 keywords?
So I looked at it at the end of November, and at that point, the search queries that had the most type of impressions and clicks tended to be around 3 to 4 words only. But I have... Really? That it is longer now. We haven't pulled the new data yet, so that would be interesting to see that now. Because the early adopters of Windows 10 tend to be the tech audience, which tends to skew slightly younger, slightly male, and more comfortable using technology. So they would tend to still use the 1 to 2 words searches. So now what we can do is look at now that we're over a year into it, with over 300 million computers using Windows 10, I think it would be really interesting to look at how that's changed so far. So that's certainly a request that I put into our data scientists, and I'm trying to work my nagging skills to try to get that.
Okay, guys, I don't know, it's echo again. We've been here about 1 hour, which is our usual standard time. If we do have more questions or comments, okay, go on with it. Otherwise, we'll probably start saying thank you to Purna. Thank you, Purna. It was very, very interesting. As a first Q&A with you. Hopefully, we'll have many more. Thank you, Jennifer, for being with us today. Thank you, Eric, being the most handsome one. And thanks, Bill, and Ammon didn't have anything on background, so well, no thank you for you then. Okay, thank you guys. If we don't have more comments or questions, we probably will go off air, you can do something like that. Say, Mom, I'm on a telly because we're going off air. Thank you, everyone who was watching.
Thank you,
Purna.
Love you guys so much. Thank you.